Hi guys, just want to have a wee rant, wee moan, a wee 10-minute rant at something that Humza Yousef's doing. Humza Yousef is doing. It's got me asking a wee bit of questions in here about whether it's legal, whether it's right, or whether he's just virtual signalling yet again, because he seems quite good at that. But to give us a wee bit of background on what it is I've got in my head and on my mind, a while ago when the Scottish Government was formed, it was the guidelines used were the Scotland Act, which gave that Parliament, or which is a strange word. I don't know why other areas in the UK have got assemblies, but Scotland's got a Parliament, but however, we've got one. And the Scotland Act governed how it would operate and the powers it would have. And there was some powers that were reserved for Westminster. Two of those were foreign affairs and immigration, asylum and visas. And I'll touch on both. But there's a caveat to that. The Scottish Government was given some powers to foreign aid. And they were namely three things. There was an international development fund started, which allowed £10 million worth of aid to go to other countries to help their development, foreign development. It's fantastic, very noble. There was a climate justice fund, which is £3 million per year put into a fund to let the Scottish Government spend that how they wish. And a third, humanitarian crisis, which allows £1 million per year to go to earthquakes, that sort of disasters, natural disasters predominantly around the world, and again, quite a noble thing to do. And before I start my rant, I just want to make it very clear to people that humanitarian aid is a good thing. It's a nice thing. Gives the civilians and the rest of the world a chance to help others not so fortunate as them. It's quite a nice thing to do, but it's got to be done correctly. And the majority of the funding that comes from the UK is from these reserved matters and administered by the British government in Westminster, apart from these three funds that are available that I've already discussed. So the one that concerns me is, I'm not concerned that the money's there. It's going to a decent place and inevitably a worthwhile thing to give heed to, and that's what's going on in Gaza just now. But the Scottish Government, or Humza, who, like his predecessor, sort of gives the impression that they are the Scottish Government, he's been taken to social media a lot recently to paint this picture of this lovely caring man. And first of all, he came out and told us about money in the 14th of October that went to Gaza. £500,000. Oddly enough, on the same day, the Scottish Government also gave to another good cause, which was the flood in Libya caused by a dam bursting. And on this same day, and most of the newspapers picked up on it and actually reported them in the same articles, the £250,000 to Libya had an explanation of where that money came from. It came from the humanitarian crisis fund that the Scottish Government has, which they're allowed to spend £1 million a year. So they gave £250,000 of that to Libya. But what I found was a bit odd was the paragraphs talking about the Libya money quite easily explained where that money came from. The £500,000 at that point on the 14th of October gave no explanation of what fund in the Scottish Government where that money came from, which I thought was a bit odd. So I've since searched and I've spent a few hours trying to find out through the power of Google where this £500,000 came from that went to the people needing money in Gaza. I can't find it. I've been on government websites, I've been on news desks, I've been on social media sites, and I can't find where this £500,000 came from. Excuse me. And then couple of weeks later, on the 2nd of November, Humza took to social media to declare he was giving a further £250,000 to the issues going on in Gaza. Again, commendable thing and a worthwhile cause, but no mention at all of where this money came from. Now, if it came from the International Development Fund, the £10 million, the biggest pot of money the Scottish Government have at its disposal to give to foreign countries, then that would be against the set out countries named in the Scottish Government documents of countries that £10 million go to. Gaza, Palestine, West Bank, none of these countries were mentioned. Just doubtful it came from there. The other fund, Climate Justice, £3 million, it certainly hasn't came from there because you couldn't justify that at all. And the humanitarian aid money that the Scottish Government has available to it, £1 million per year, 250,000 of that was already spoken for recently by giving money to Syria. It's doubtful that the rest of that money would be spent on one single issue in Gaza, so I doubt the monies came from there. But I would like to, as a Scottish citizen and someone that since the age of 17 has paid into the HMRC kitty in Westminster, I wouldn't mind knowing where the money came from, if that would be a reasonable question, Humza. The timing of it also has raised a few questions, and I've seen several comment on it on social media who have came to the conclusion, their conclusion, not factual because nobody's told us where the monies came from or why it was paid, but I've seen a few mention, and it could possibly be a conspiracy theory, I don't know, but Humza could probably help clarify that as well, that the timeline of these payments also set inside the fact that the Scottish Government money is separate from the UK money. And up until the 23rd of October, the British Government had already given £30 million to the crisis in Gaza, which is right, because the Westminster Government is actually in control of all foreign aid through foreign affairs for the whole of the UK. It's not a devolved power, apart from the money that they've already set aside that the Scottish Government can decide, that we've already discussed. So the UK governments gave Gaza £30 million, and the Scottish Government on top of that gave another £750,000, but no explanation at all of what funds it came from. The other thing that there's possible conspiracy theorists, so I'm not suggesting this at all, I'm just really in a few things I've seen online. They suggest that during the early days of the crisis in Gaza, after the horrific invasion of Israel on the 7th of October, the Israeli forces' reaction was to obviously start bombing, and they done so for a few weeks before there was any land invasion into Gaza. They started bombing the region and tried to restrict that as much as possible to military sites. And unfortunately, Humza's in-laws, his mother-in-law and father-in-law, were caught in Gaza at the time. It's all over the news, and we see many interviews by Mr. Yousef during that time, telling us about the terrible atrocities that they faced. And the only land border available to people to get out of the country was locked by the Egyptian government. They didn't open it. That was before these donations were made by the Scottish Government, that we've got no knowledge of where the money came from. So the first one was made. The second tranche of Scottish Government money was paid on the 2nd of November, possibly before that, but we heard about it in the news. It was broadcast on the 2nd of November. And then miraculously, and thankfully, I may add, Humza's relatives were released and able to cross a closed border one day later. And the suggestion that's been made, which I'm not buying into, obviously I wouldn't buy into that, is this was some sort of possible ransom. Or is it just coincidence that this £750,000 of Scottish money, that we've got no guidance over what pot of money it came from or where it came from within the pot of Scottish government money, just happens to be paid 24 hours before a closed border allows Humza's in-laws to safely cross. And they're now, thankfully, safely at home. Lucky people, the circumstances, you know, they're very fortunate that they managed to get out of the country so quickly. And we're in the first batch of non-Gaza citizens to be able to leave the country. And I believe the number was less than 100 in that batch that Humza's in-laws were thankfully able to escape from the trauma of of Gaza. But I'm quite sure in Humza's role as the unelected First Minister of Scotland, he'll have no problem telling his nation where this money came from and put to bed these scurrilous accusations that it was in some way helpful for the safe passage of his in-laws. I'm sure you'll keep in touch with us, Humza, and let us all know. You love making a post on social media, so I challenge you to explain this one. That would be great, and get rid of all these scurrilous accusations against you. Thanks for your time.